So today I'm going to cover how to do a 2-point perspective house, but also where you have outside buildings. So they can be big machine sheds, they could be garages, and yes, we do have our 2 points since we're doing 2-point perspective. So here is one I have started so you can see how to do this. This is on computer size paper, and then this is on poster board sizers. So it's a lot larger, and you can see here when doing things, you either are drawing things to the left or you're drawing them to the right. We still are going to have our center axis line, and everything goes one way or the other depending on how steep it is lined up with it or if it's more open view of it. Whereas here you're really seeing the left sides of the building but a little bit less on the right sides of things. And then here I just went ahead to where it's almost like an attached garage, but you can see things going to the right, things going to the left. One thing to remember when you're doing your shingles on your house here, line them up with the left vanishing point, move them downwards, and then to get that little part of each shingle that's laid in there, line it up with the roof, and you're going to keep sliding it backwards because you want that parallel part so it's never tilting at all. So vertical is just for our corners here, otherwise it goes to the right or to the left, and then the roof lines here would be parallel, and if you have a very steep one like we do back here, it's also going to line up to it and be parallel. So let's get going. So to get started, you'll want your pencil, eraser, and a ruler or some type of straight edge. Like here is a piece of poster board that I just cut that has straight edges. And I have already started off your picture, but this one I have turned to the horizontal format, so it's the long ways across this way. I have already made where the horizon line will be, and I have it towards the top part of the page, and I am using computer paper size paper. So you can see how it's going to go across the top part here. Down lower, I have put in the corner of where the house will be, and then I'll be having the buildings extra like this put back further. So to get started, you are always going to have, and I'll go ahead and highlight this line, but you're going to draw in this that is going to be your center axis. So everything here is going to go to the right and everything here will be going to the left. And when doing this, I have also already started the bottom. So what I'm going to do now is just draw this line all the way so you can see how I have lined everything up. So that's the bottom edge of the house going back to the left side. And then I'm just going to go ahead and line this up. And some of these lines do get erased later, but I'm just doing them all so you can see where everything goes. So I'm going to just draw this one all the way to the right side. And from that, I'm just going to later on use the same line for my other building. So we have this started. Now we need to decide how far back our house is going. So on this line, if you're just drawing this on computer paper, I went back about 2 1/4 inches. Then I will make a vertical line again. So now I have what is going to be the front part of my house. I'm going to slide it back, and I've already given myself the guideline of, it looks like about 2 1/2 inches. So then I would do another vertical line, and remember, helpful hint is line the edge of your ruler up with the edge of the piece of paper. And now I have a guideline that way. Now this is a little bit taller than what I want, but I will be erasing things later. So if you haven't done this before, and I gave myself some guidelines, but what you would do is find and make a cube here just for the front part. So then this would get erased. And then I would find the halfway in between these two, so that's the corners of my house. I'm going to go up halfway, and then I make a little bit of dot, and it's about 1 finger space, probably like a centimeter or so. So from that, I'm going to make a triangle, and this one is going to go over the edge just a smidge. And I will do the same thing where it goes over a little bit on this one. So this is like if you did the doghouse earlier. Now this is going to go back to the vanishing point, and we have the overhang because if you ever look at the roof of a house, it has an overhang. And I'm going to go, and I'll just use pencil with this one so I know where to stop. And then I'll have to erase them later. And then this one, I would do the same thing. So now I'm going to line it up to here. So I have my ruler lined up to this. So I'm not going to the right or left. I'm lining it up so it's parallel with the original roof front. Now I'm going to keep sliding it back. And when I see the edge of the house right here, I'm going to go back just a little bit more and draw that parallel line. Then I need to do the other part, so I'm going to line it up again and keep sliding it back, and there I have that side for me. So after I have the roof done and the house, I would erase all these extra lines that I don't need here anymore. And I'm just going to go over this with a pen so you guys can see it when I start doing the other stuff. So for this house, I've decided to do it as a 2-story house, just with finding in this cube that I made, this would be my halfway point. And I'll make a mark right here. That's halfway. So this would be second floor, this is first floor. I need to think when doing this, my door's not going to go all the way up to the floor or the ceiling. So it's going to go down a little bit below. So what I'm going to do, just so you can see, is, and I'll just go ahead and use red. So this would be, and I'll just do it in dash so we can see where everything is. And then I would do it over here. And now this helps you guys see. This is my first floor, this is my second floor. So my top of my door is not going to be touching here, the bottom of my windows would not be touching here, and then the same for, this was the line that we drew earlier. So these are all going to be vertical lines, so what I like doing, and I'll give myself another red guideline here, so I'm lining it up. Make a mark of how tall you want your door to be, and that would help you know where the height of your windows would be. So this is a vertical line and a vertical line to make my door. And then my windows, I'm doing verticals also. Underneath part goes back to the right side. The top, I'm just going to line up. Make a nice line so you can see. So this would be my window right here. And I just made a nice 3-pane window. If I was doing a little window for the door here, I'm going to make a line, a vertical one. It goes back to the right side. A little bit more goes to the right side. And then another vertical. And give myself a little door handle. Also, I did the little guideline for the door here. So notice I went all the way to the edge. I'm going to do it here. Just so you guys can see. And making a mark here for a window. So it's a vertical. And a vertical. And then I would go back to the left. Back to the left. I could do another one that's back here. Vertical. Given some bigger windows back here apparently. And then do a window here. Vertical. And I'm going to line it up with the bottom of that first window. then you could even do a second line on that side, and then a line right there. That way it looks like they're recessed. Here I am given verticals. The top goes back to the vanishing point. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Bottom. Do a vertical. And that's how you would put your windows in your building there. So if you haven't already figured out, I was making a sidewalk, so I went out a little bit from the door, line that up with your left vanishing point, and bring it outwards a little bit outside of the door, line it up with the left, and there we have that. And then what I've also started back here is that tall building, which would be like a machine shed kind of building. A big barn you could put it in. It could be a several car garage. It's just another big outside building that you're adding. So you're going to start with your vertical line, which will be everything to the right and everything to the left. And I'll do this so you guys can see. So that's where my vertical line is. Now what I'm going to do, and I'm just going to do this with pencil, or I'll do it with red so you can see where we're going. So I'm going to line the top of this to the vanishing point, because I already did the bottom and it's lined up with the house, remember. So then let's go back on that bottom line. I'm going back 2 inches, and I'm going to do another vertical line up to this line I just did here. So this is my cube that I would be starting. So then I'm going to go back here to the vanishing point. So it's the bottom corner of my building. I'm going to line this up to the left vanishing point. And let's go back. We could even go back, say 2 inches. Inch and 3/4, 2 inches. So then I would do a vertical line. And I'm going to just do a red line right now so you guys can see where it is, but we do need to add that triangle for the roof again so we can see where this is going. So I already did between here and here, find halfway, which is here, then go upwards, make your dot. You guys remember what we did for the roof over here? You're going to go past this point right here. So we want a overhang, and then a little bit of an overhang on this side. And then I'm just going to line this up to the vanishing point. And this is almost lined up with the horizon. Almost. Then I'm going to line this bottom edge, so not the corner square part, it's that triangle part of the roof that has the overhang now. Line that up to the left side, draw backwards. It looks like I need to go just a little bit more. So go back past the corner right here. So right here. Line it up to the original pitched triangle part. So it's parallel to it. I'm going to slide it back to right back here. So it's telling me I need to draw this line just a little bit more. And now I have a large building right here. So what I'm going to do is, because I've already drawn the house, and we're just putting the bone structure in. We haven't drawn the siding or anything yet. But what I'm going to do is use this as a guideline. So now I have how high the door should be over here. So because it's further away, the door is going to be smaller. So I'm going to draw a vertical line and then just say a vertical line right there, and there would be your door. But what we're also going to do is And if you've been around these buildings, they do have gigantic doors so you can drive your machinery in, and those are a lot taller than these. So I'm going to make a vertical line here, then line this up to the vanishing point on the right side, draw here to here, and then make a vertical line. And there you have that. What I like doing is just fill this in just a little bit. And that gives it that dimension there that you have. What we can also do is I'm going to say how many divisions this is for the door to get the folds of the door. If you want the door that pushes upwards, you would be drawing this back to the vanishing point. This. A lot of times these do have just the doors that it's two big doors that you push open. So it's up to you what kind of door you want. But what I'm going to do here also is see how I have that guideline here. So I'm going to go up just a little bit more. Yeah, just a little bit more. I put a door back here. And we could even do another one. So I didn't make it quite the same height. This is just a little bit smaller. And fill that side in. And then do this. And then we could even put windows in this. And I'm just adding some things so you could see. But these would be your vertical lines for your windows if you start putting them then. A lot of times these have just your vertical siding. It's usually like big sheets of tin that are making these buildings up. And there's a lot more than what I'm putting in there, but this way you guys can get the idea of where to put things. Just add more to them than what I'm doing. And what I also like doing is just add in a little bit here. That way you have your overhang on that. And another thing, and I'll just do this for black. This usually has a metal, corrugated metal roof too. So line this up to the original angle of the roof, be parallel with it, slide this back. So this is done differently than if you're putting shingles on your house. It'd be like that. If you're doing, I'll put a few in here. Sometimes they have, I'll just do two so you can see what I'm doing. Skylights or vents in them. So maybe it's like that. So add more to this one. This one, just like our doghouse and stuff, make your marks for every space you want your lines to go back, and do the same over here. And from that, line it up to the vanishing point. And this is for our regular shingles for our house. And when we are then doing this part, after this, we're going to put lines that are parallel to the roof, and then alternate them like we would bricks. And this one's going to get really angular. So far, kind of, you can see how it's starting to get close together. So here, I'm going to line it up and go number 1, 3, you'd skip. See how I'm skipping right there? 5, 7. Back, and I should have done a lot more than I did, but this way you guys can kind of start seeing where things are going. So this would be the wrong, is if we were doing them straight up and down. See how that it looks strange? Like, you're like, I'm not for sure which way I'm supposed to be looking at this. It's one of those kind of optical illusion things. So this is a no. So make sure they're angled. So yes, this way you're going to be doing the same thing. And then just continue. Keep going that way. So siding, if you haven't figured it out yet, this way goes to this side. And you just keep adding more, and then this one's going to line up to the left side. Just use the ones that you've already drawn over here as your guidelines. So we have a sidewalk started. So what we should do is we need a drive for this, and probably like there's a drive for here if we're thinking. So this I'm going to just draw the rest away. So this would be, say, the road is coming out towards us, like here, maybe out even more. So then our drive would be, I'm going in between that door. Then I'm just going to go to the outside of the building just so you could kind of see where it would go. So that would be the drive for that. But what I'm also going to do is sometimes maybe you have part of the drive goes behind a little bit. So all this would be then your drive. You could even have it like a sidewalk would be using the vanishing point. Maybe it's just a little concrete pad right there. And then we could even have, we'll leave a space. Then we'll do some more. Can you guys guess what I'm doing here? You see, I made the drive go behind the building over here. If you wanted, you could even do, since I have these lines, but you could be like, oh, we need a sidewalk from the house to over here, so I'm using the right vanishing point. And then there would be your sidewalk there. So for here, you could do a little line, then another one. It's just adding curves to them, but there would be your mailbox. And then just so you guys can see this better, I was making this grass right here. And then this little in-between part, which obviously you can add your own in. If we were doing, say in the other one, there was the house and then the dog house. Remember, it's vertical. That goes back, then this would be going to your left, a vertical, there's my triangle, goes back, parallel, and then you would have your like little arch in, and then you draw all your lines back to the vanishing point that way, or your doghouse. And then you could even put more doors in and all that type of stuff. If you wanted fence right here, and this is one of those tricky ones because it's so far in the distance. Give yourself a guideline, but then it would just be vertical lines, and then another line going back to the vanishing point. You could even then make here would be your fence, and then a vertical. And then you could do like little tiny fence all the way back in the back. You could even do like another line here that would emphasize fence post and fence there. You could draw some little cattle in there. Like there's a little head peeking around of something. Needs an ear. And then far in the distance, you know, you could give yourself some trees, add other details. These are smaller ones, so sometimes pine trees and these other trees are a little bit easier to do. And then you just kind of add things in. You can even do like trees far in the distance. And if you want to make, you know, more of a drive, like say you needed more of a drive back that way, it just goes to this vanishing point back here. So it's whatever you would be adding into your picture. Do some trees back here. Add your whole little happy little forest. So just add what you need. Remember, rough parts, those go with the original line, and all these go to the vanishing point. But if the house was going the other way, it'd go to that vanishing point. So ruler flips back and forth, otherwise you have vertical lines. So happy drawing!